friends, I hope you guys are all doing really well. So I just wanted to hop on here quickly and do a new introduction to this video because it was pre-recorded actually about a week and a half ago, and in the video I was explaining how I had been going through a really tough time lately and having a lot of problems with my mental health diagnoses and going on new medications and all of those kinds of things. So we're gonna get into the book haul, but I just wanted to come on and say a quick hello. Hope you guys enjoy. Bye. So the first couple, most of these are not considered like vintage collectors. It's not part of my vintage collection, but something else that I do collect are ghost story books. For many reasons. I mean, everybody knows that I love ghost stories. I love true ghost stories, and I am working on another project, trying to work on another project that I'm trying to get off the ground. So that's still in the works, but I have been still collecting lots and lots of ghost story books, and this specific collection is one that I would like to get because it's ghost stories from like right across Canada, and then there's some in the States, and then they have some that are like, I don't know what you would call them, kind of like offshoot books, which one of these is. So this one is actually vintage, it's from 1996, and this is more ghost stories of Alberta. So Alberta is the province, the Canadian province that I live in, and I love the covers on these books. Like, they have these old like Victorian houses, but they're all like different colors up here, and these have fantastic real life ghost stories in them. So I was really happy to find this. Like, these are out of print now, so you do have to find them secondhand. The only thing is when she showed me the books, before I went to get them, she only showed me the spines, and then when I went to pick them up, a couple of them like had a whole bunch of pages that had been folded over. You know how people fold down or dog-ear the corners of the pages? So that was unfortunate. But I was still happy to have these for the collection because I was missing these particular ones and got them at a really good price. So that was Ghost Stories of Alberta. And then this one is kind of, like I said, one of those offshoot sort of books. So this is Guardian Angels, True Stories of Guidance and Protection. And this one is by Susan Smitten, which is not one of the typical authors. Barbara Smith, who wrote this one, is one of the more prevalent authors, and the other one, Joanne Christensen, was one of the more prevalent authors. But I don't have anything by the Susan Smitten, so I don't know if this is the only one she did for that series. So this is book number 49 in that series. So there's a lot of books in this particular ghost series. They call them Ghost House. I think it was a different publisher that had the rights before, and then it got picked up by Ghost House. So this is book number 49. And then we have Victorian ghost stories, and this is the other one, like I said, by Joanne Christensen, who is one of the more prevalent authors of that particular series. And we all know that I love anything Victorian, and Victorian ghost stories specifically. So this is book number 42 in the series. So a couple of more to put on the ghost story shelf and to help me do my research for that other project that one of these days we will get off the ground. Okay, so now getting into the YA and middle grade vintage horror that you guys are most likely here to see, because we all know that these are my favorite and they're probably your favorites too. So this one, I was really happy to get this. So this is The Vampire's Promise by Caroline B. Cooney, and it's part of the Scholastic Thrillers, and this is the third in her vampire trilogy. So I do have the first two books, The Cheerleader and The Return of the Vampire, and this was the only one I was missing, and it's in fantastic condition. So no spine creases and no writing on the inside. So I was really happy, because usually, you know, you get some stamps or somebody writing their name on the inside, and this is Not a first printing, unfortunately, but it is from 1998. So like I said, really super excited to have this one. I can finally sit down and read it, you know, for all 3 books whenever I want. And if you don't know anything about this series, it says on the front here, never make a deal with a vampire. So basically this is about, and I'm not going to go into the synopses of all of these books, but basically this is about a teenage girl, and she wants to be pretty and popular on all of the things, be noticed by boys, be in the popular group and all of that, and she makes a deal with a vampire. So we know there's all kinds of shenanigans that are going to be going on with that. So fairly short book, and like I said, in fantastic condition, so super excited to have that one. And then continuing with Caroline B. Cooney, so we have The Voice on the Radio, and of course this is the 3rd one in her Janie series. So it started with The Face on the Milk Carton, Whatever Happened to Janie, and then The Voice on the Radio. So this has wonderful step back cover art. I don't want to bend it too far, but you can see on the inside there. And I only read the first 2 books in this series when I was growing up. The Face on the Milk Carton was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. I don't know how many times I read that thing. Yeah, so this one is from 1996. So I really don't think I read this one. I read the first 2, so it would be kind of nice to go back and revisit the series that I loved so much and finally read the last book. And it's just a Caroline B. Cooney extravaganza. So this is one by her that I actually had never heard of. And this is not, it's still a Scholastic book, but it's not part of those like thrillers. This is Flight Number 116 is Down, and it doesn't have a blurb on the front. But it says, readers will experience a roller coaster of emotions. So this is definitely not along the lines of like a thriller or horror. This is more of an action survival sort of book. So I've never read anything like that before by her. I've only ever read her, you know, kind of mystery thriller kind of things. So this will be really interesting, and this is from 1992. So like I said, hadn't heard about this at all. This book also is in fantastic condition for being so old. It's nice and shiny. There's no spine creases or anything. So yet another one to go into the Caroline B. Cooney collection. And then I found one out of the Nightmare Hall. So this is Sorority Sister, and this is one of the original covers that has, you know, the nice beautiful embossing and everything, and it has the wonderful step back cover art. So you could see these 2 lovely looking girls here, and then, oh dear, someone is not very happy. So there's a little bit of a threat there. I love the Nightmare Hall. When I was a kid, I've said this many times on the channel before, when I was a kid, I didn't get into reading a whole lot of the point horror. I did read some of like the Scholastic thrillers and stuff, but point horror wasn't one of my things. But Nightmare Hall, which is a spin-off of point horror, was something that I did read. I read quite a few of these. Don't think I got to this one. I can't remember if I did. But this is number 10 in the series. So fairly early. Once you start getting into the later books, they do actually start getting harder to find. So, but still, I needed this one, so really happy to have that one to add to the collection. And then this is one that's outside of the regular kind of series that I collect. So this is the Troll book. It's called The Deadliest of Friends by Mary Main. So this is, I think it said it was from 1996. And hadn't heard of 1997, so hadn't heard of this one before, but of course fits right in with my my love of YA thrillers. So it says on the front here, is someone Megan trusts a murderer? So like I said, this is from Troll, and so I haven't read any of these. Don't even know if they've put out anything else or if this is a one-off. Haven't read anything by Mary Main. So this was definitely something that was a little bit outside of my norm, but super excited to have it and give it a go. So next up we have a point horror, an actual point horror. This is The Watcher, so it has that beautiful embossed lettering on the front, and it's kind of silver, but it's outlined with green. I love the cover on this book. I've been waiting to get this book, and this is from 1994. So super excited for this one. It gives me Audrey vibes. So it says, same time, same deadly channel. So I just love the cover on this one, and like I said, it kind of gives me Audrey sort of vibes. I think it's just a dead plant, but then you've got the TV there too. Looks like the TV people from Poltergeist are coming out there, so don't know if that's a tie-in, but it says she's living a soap opera. So that's interesting. Haven't read a whole lot of the point horror, so super excited that I'm building up my collection of those. So now we're getting into a couple of the cheesy sort of middle grade YA girl series books. So this one is from the Party Line series. It's number 3, Becky's Super Secret by Carrie Austin. And I mean, look at all these cool kids on the front here. I don't have any others from this particular series. I had heard of it. I never read it when I was a kid, never read it when I was growing up, but this particular one is from 1990, so it'll be interesting to see how many books are in this particular series. I haven't had a chance to look it up yet, but it looked super cute, super cheesy. So it says on the front here, will Becky's mystery party fool her friends? So sounds like a nice light summer kind of read, which is probably what I'm going to be getting into here to get me back into the cadence of reading again. And then this one, I was super excited to find this, because we all know that I'm a huge Babysitters Club fan. So this is one of these scholastic biographies. So this is Anne M. Martin, the story of the author of the Babysitters Club by Margot Becker R. with Anne M. Martin. So really super excited to have this one. I think it will be really interesting to learn the actual story behind the series, which I don't know a whole lot about. The only thing is, as soon as I opened this book, the spine completely cracked. And I think it must have just been dried out, and then it just when I opened it up. So I've got to be super careful with it and to try not to damage it any further. But this is one that I'm going to be keeping for my own personal collection. I'm not reselling it or anything. But yeah, this will be really fun to sit down as a, you know, a nonfiction and just learn the story behind the Babysitters Club. And then next up we have a Bruce Coville. So I don't have a whole lot of Bruce Coville in my collection. So this one, he's kind of new to me. I don't think I've read a whole lot of his books, like even when I was a kid. So this particular one, it says, this is Bruce Coville's Book of Nightmares, Tales to Make You Scream. And I love these sort of YA and middle grade spooky story books, these anthologies. I mean, the cover is just spectacular. So when did this come out? I don't think this is too old. Oh, 1995. Yeah, it is quite old. It's in great condition. So I think this will be super fun to sit down and just read a couple of stories out of. And I know they're going to be super cheesy and funny, as well as being probably terrifying as well, because we all know that horror from the 80s and 90s for kids is definitely more spooky than horror for kids now. You know, it was actually scary. So this one, this is a little Apple book, and this is one that I hadn't heard of before. It looked so trippy. So this is The Witch's Cat, and we have a couple of boys in a shoe on the front cover here, and it looks like they're in space. And it says, what kind of magic will the cat do next? So this is a scholastic book by Ruth Chu. So hadn't heard of this before, don't know anything about it, but I thought it looked super trippy. It's from 1994. So I went ahead and picked it up, and it says on the back, very slowly the slipper floated into the air and headed for the open window. So this sounds like it will be a really off-the-wall, super cute adventure. And so these two boys and a cat, looks like they're out in space and learning some things, and I'm sure we learned some lessons and stuff. And it also says, you never know what's going to happen when you meet a witch's cat. So super cute. It's really short, and so when I saw it, I just had to have it for the collection. And then next up we have another R.L. Stein. So this one, I don't think this one's very old. 2000. So I mean, I consider anything vintage to be before 2000, so 1999 and before, but still fairly old. So this is Three Faces of Me by R.L. Stein, and this is a book that I hadn't heard of before by him. And it says, I headed towards my room to finish my homework, but stopped short in the doorway because a boy looking just like me basically was sitting down doing my math homework. Sounds like we got some spooky clones going on there. Let me know if you've heard of this R.L. Stein, because this is not one that I've heard of before, and it's a standalone. It looks like it doesn't look like it's part of any of his other series, and it's from Parachute Press. So next up we have a Scream Shop. So this is from the Scream Shop series. This is number 1, and it's one of those pick your path or pick your adventure kind of books, and this one is called Abracadanger. And I don't have anything from this series either. This is a book by Tracy West. Doesn't look like there's any kind of blurb on here, so I have no idea what this is about, but it looks super spooky with this kid here in the front doing a little bit of magic, it looks like, and you've got a ghost or something that he's conjured in the background there. And I don't think I have a whole lot of these pick your own adventure kind of books, so this is going to be a lot of fun for me to get into for sure. And next up we have one of the Betsy Haynes Taffy Sinclair books. So this is The Truth About Taffy Sinclair, and it says Taffy finally tells her side of the story. So I haven't read any of the Taffy Sinclair books. Obviously this is one later on in the series. And so when was this one from? 1988 it looks like. And if you don't know anything about these books, these Betsy Haynes books, so there's a group of girls and they form this club. I think it's called the I Hate Taffy Sinclair Club. And then, you know, it's girls coming of age and, you know, learning lessons and all of that kind of thing. And then, you know, we have this other character on the other side, Taffy Sinclair. So she's going to tell her side of the story after all of the other girls have been really, really super mean. So that's going to be really interesting. I do want to find more of these. Obviously, I'm not going to jump right to this one. I'm going to find the rest of the series first. But I saw it. It was in great condition, so I had to have it for the collection. Moving right along here. So this is another new one to me. This is a Trophy Chiller. So this is a Harper book. House of Horrors number 4. Aunt Weird. So the series is called House of Horrors. This is book 4, and it's a series by Lloyd Allen, and like you could see, you have someone taking their head off here. It kind of reminds me of the movie Return to Oz, which I actually did watch a couple of weeks ago. And the blurb says, this babysitter's your worst nightmare. So this looks really cute, and like I said, that I don't have any other books in this series, so let me know if you guys have heard of the House of Horrors series. Like I said, it's a Trophy Chiller by Harper Teen. And yet another new series that I haven't heard anything about. This is The House on Cherry Street is the name of the series, and this is The Final Nightmare Book 3 by Rodman Philbrick and Lynn Harnett, and it says it's not over till he's dead. So this looks super spooky. We've got like a ghost kid here and a sinister dude. So this looks super, super creepy. So, I mean, obviously, this is a spooky house that has all kinds of things going on in it. So this is an Apple Fiction. And like I said, this is book 3 out of this series. So I've got to find the other 2. And like I said, I think this one's going to be super, super fun. So this particular one is from 1995. So once I get the other 2, then I'll be able to hop into this one. And then next, I found a whole bunch of the Scary Stories for Sleepovers books. These are getting more and more rare to find, so whenever I see them, I try to snap them up really quickly as long as they're at a decent price. So I've got, like I said, I've got a stack of them here. So we have more Scary Stories for Sleepovers. So we have this one. And then we have still more Scary Stories for Sleepovers. And then we have Mega Scary Stories for Sleepovers number 7. And then another even more Scary Stories for Sleepovers. This one has like a reptile dude on the front. And this one, it's just called Scary Stories for Sleepovers. I don't see a number on it anywhere. So like I said, I've got a whole bunch of these now for my collection. I don't know how many there are. I have to look into it. And I don't know, I haven't checked yet. I don't know if some of these maybe are the same stories with different covers. I'm not really too sure, but I wanted to have all of them for my collection. So haven't read any of these yet either, but I hear they're super, super fun. So glad to have all of these for my collection as well. So the next little stack is a little bit out of the norm, not part of the normal series that we see. So the first one is Something Upstairs by Avi, and it looks like we've got some ghostly hands reaching up for a box of books, and it says, "This is the strangest story I've ever heard, and I think it's true." So that seems pretty cool. Hadn't heard anything. I've only ever seen one other book by Avi, and I've never read it, but this is from 1990, October 1990. It's super, super short. So I had to grab this because it looked really, really super intriguing to me, and I'm really excited to have it. And then the next one, so this is Scholastic, The Curse of the Silver Box by Brenda Bellingham. So not one I've heard of before, and it says, "It's just a silver box, an attractive, harmless silver box that Katie's stepmother buys at an auction. Harmless? Then why does the strange watching boy leave such an ominous warning? And why does everything start to go wrong? Can the silver box really be cursed?" So this is another super, super short one, and I believe it's a standalone. It's not part of any other series. And this is from 1989. This is a first printing, so it's actually in fantastic condition. There's a little bit of sticker kind of goop on the back. But other than that, it looks fantastic, and really, really excited to check this one out. Like I said, it's not part of a series, completely standalone mystery, so that's super cool. And then we've got a couple here that I don't know if they fall within the YA or if these are adult. Haven't really looked into them yet. So the first one is by Claire McNally, so this is Addison House, and it looks super cool. So we have this really creepy house and this demonic figure here, and it says on the back, "What is the secret of Addison House?" So haunted house story, can't get much better than that. And this one is a first printing from 1988, so that's pretty cool. And the next one is called Night Hunter, and by Michael Reeves, but it says on the back, "Death stalks the Hollywood night." So this takes place in Hollywood. And the only reason why I picked it up was because of the cover. I love this skull here with the bats, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty good. So this is from Tor, and it's not in fantastic condition, but it's still pretty good, and sounds super, super intriguing. So those are a couple. I believe these are adult horror. So those are the only adult horror that I have in the collection right now. And then this one is an author I've never read before. This is Break of Dark by Robert Westall. And this is about like it's a puffin book. So this is about a pilot, I believe. And it says, "There is a barrier that divides the dark unknown from the ordinary. Sometimes the barrier is crossed." So that sounds pretty neat. And this also is not part of a series or anything, and it was printed, it's my birth year, 1982, so it looks pretty good for being that old. So yeah, just totally random, but it looked interesting to me, so I went ahead and picked it up. And then we have two of these. I hadn't heard of these at all before. So these are Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators books. So I believe these are kind of like a knockoff version of like the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew. So it's these group of boys and they solve mysteries. So the first one is The Mystery of the Silver Spider, and the second one is The Mystery of Monster Mountain. And these are going to be two of the oldest books in my collection. So one of them is from 1973 and the other one is from 1967, which I believe is the second oldest book in my collection. I do have a super, super old Nancy Drew that's a little bit older than that, but this is definitely right up there with the oldest books in my collection. So like I said, hadn't heard of this series before, this Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators, but I'm keeping my eyes open for more of these because they sound super, super cute. And then you knew it wouldn't be a book haul without a couple of Buffy books. So out of the Brown series, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Willow Files Volume 1. So I already have the Willow Files Volume 2. And it says on the front, 3 stories of love, friendship, and animal attraction. And then of course we have Willow and Oz. Oz is one of my favorite characters, and I love these two together. And the other Buffy book we have is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Obsidian Fate. And this was one that I was missing as well. So super, super happy to have these. This is a pocket book. And yeah, both of them are in great condition. And they'll be going up on my Buffy shelf, which is just over here. It's not quite finished yet. I have been doing a lot of reorganizing in the library, just had to put it on hold for a while. So as soon as everything is up and the way that I want it, I will give you guys a revised library tour, of course. All right, down to the last stack. I have hauled a lot of books over the past little while, as you can see. So we have a Sinclair Smith, The Boy Next Door. So I only have a couple of Sinclair Smiths, so I was super happy to get this one. And it says he's just to die for. And the reason I love this one so much is it has, of course, like most of, you know, the point horror and those ones, it has the embossed lettering on the front. And this is the pink embossed lettering. So we see a lot of the silver and the red foiling, but this is the pink foil. And it made me super happy. I thought it was a great cover. Haven't read this one yet. And it says, is he for real? So it sounds like we have a creepy dude. And I know we're going to get up to lots of shenanigans. You can't really see it, but the house on the cover of this is absolutely gorgeous. So super, super happy to have another Sinclair Smith. And then we have another Troll book. So Troll is a publisher that I don't have a whole lot of. This is The Night Room by E.M. Goldman. And it says, is seeing your future a dream come true or a nightmare? So that's a good question, and I'm sure it's going to set up the premise of a pretty cool story. So when was this one? So this one is from 1995, and it's fairly short. It's a little bit longer, actually. It's a little bit thicker than most of the ones that come in these sort of, you know, YA paperbacks. But I thought it looked pretty cool. Definitely 90s looking from the front cover. And when I can find kind of YA thrillers and horror and stuff like that that are from different publishers, I really like doing that. Next up we have an Elizabeth Moore book. So I only have one other by Elizabeth Moore, and I have to see if it's part of this series. I believe it is. This is Dark Moon 2, Dreams of Vengeance, oh sorry, Dreams of Revenge. Will her dark obsession end in death? So of course, beautiful embossing on the front cover. And I believe the other book that I have by her is Dark Moon Book 1. So that's fantastic. Was really happy to get this one. And it says, Sweet Love, Bitter Revenge. And then we have a couple of point horrors. So we have The Waitress, which is one that I've been looking for and waiting to get. So of course we have that beautiful embossed cover. And this is by Sinclair Smith, and it says, the customer is always wrong, dead wrong. And it's wonderfully, like I said, wonderfully embossed on the cover. It has that point horror logo on it, and this is from 1992. And then we have another point horror, Final Exam. This is another specific one I was looking for. This is A. Bates, and it says, if you fail, you'll just die. And this one was printed in 1990, so a couple of more point horror for the collection, along with The Watcher, and I've got lots of the scholastic thrillers in there too. And so next up, I didn't even know these existed. I don't know how many of these there are, but this is a point crime book. And this is Formula for Murder, Take 1 teaspoon and call the coroner in the morning. So this is not in fantastic condition. It has a big crease up the front of the cover, but it does lie flat, and that's really all I care about, and the spine is intact. So I went ahead and picked it up, and like I said, I hadn't heard of point crime before. And it says on the back, suddenly a cry broke the spell. It sounded like the dreadful howl of a wounded animal, but it was human. So this one is from 1993, so I'll have to keep my eye out. I love finding stuff like this because it's kickstarted a whole, you know, I have to go in and research to find out how many point crime books there are, but was super happy to get this one. And this is by a fellow named Malcolm Rose. So I'm assuming all of the books in this series, like the point horror, they're by different authors. But once I find out a little bit more about this series, I will let you guys know. So next up we have another Scholastic. This is Hear No Evil Book 4. So another new series that I hadn't heard about. And this is Dead and Buried, a Sarah Howell mystery. And it says on the front, greed can be deadly. So like I said, another new series that I haven't heard about, so I'm super excited about this particular haul because it's opened my eyes to series that I haven't heard of before. And I love when that happens because now I can go do my research and create a spreadsheet for myself of books in the series that I need to collect. So this one is in fantastic condition, and it is from 1996, so really good condition. Really happy with this one. So I have another book here by Carol Ellis, The Stepdaughter. So this is wonderfully embossed on the front, and I'm pretty sure that this goes along with another book by her that's called The Fire, and I've got to look into them because I don't know how many are in that mini-series. I believe that they're all part of the same story, so I've got to do a bit more research, but I think this is part of that other one. They look very similar and the same kind of font and everything. So super excited to have that. And now I've got to find out what other books go with that mini-series. And then totally forgot about these. So a couple more point. So we have Mother's Helper, Rockabye Baby, and this is great because it has orange foil on the embossed lettering. So this is by A. Bates as well. And then we have Arachnophobia, which is a really popular movie that was out when I was younger. I've never seen it. I've never seen Arachnophobia, but I didn't know that it was based on a book. It says now a major motion picture from Hollywood Pictures, including 8 pages of color photographs. So it does have color photographs from the movie right in the book. So had no idea this was part of the Point series. But that's pretty cool, and so I'll have to do a vlog where I read the book and watch the movie. And this is from August of 1990. This is a little bit smaller than a regular Point horror book. And then last but not least of the stuff that I've purchased myself, and then I've got a couple of more here that are very special. I was super excited to find this one. I paid way more than I would typically for books in my vintage collection, but you kind of got to grab it when they pop up. So this is Christopher Pike's Tales of Terror, and there are 3 of these, I think, and it's short stories by Christopher Pike. I love the cover on this. It's just gorgeous, and this copy is really beautiful. Really beautiful. So I got this off of a guy here in my community. I don't know if you guys have this in the States, but here in Canada we have something called Garage Sale, which is a virtual garage sale. And of course I subscribe to the book category, so when stuff like this pops up, I will see it right away, and I nabbed it. So I went that day and picked it up because you don't see these very much, and they are very expensive, like on eBay and stuff like that. So I was super happy to have such a fantastic edition of this wonderful book. And then last, very quickly before we go, because I know this has been a very long video, I did get a package from my very good friend Pax Panic. If you don't know Pax, make sure to go over and subscribe to her channel. She's just fantastic. And she had these, she was done with them, and she thought of me. She sent me a message over on Instagram, and she was like, hey, did you want them for your collection? I was like, yes. I think there was only one out of here that I had. She sent 4 books, so there was one that I already had, but sometimes I will get duplicates from people because I want to see if they're in better condition than the ones that I have already in my collection. So she was very, very sweet and did up a package. And I mean, Pax is going through so much already that she didn't have to do that. She's, you know, dealing with other things in her life, and I was just so touched that she thought of me. So she sent me some Goosebumps. So we've got Give Yourself Goosebumps, Reader Beware. This is number 15. Please Don't Feed the Vampire. And then I don't think I have any of these Give Yourself Goosebumps. I don't think I have any of these yet. Then we have number 9, The Knight in Screaming Armor. We have a regular Goosebumps. So this is Night of the Living Dummy 2. This is number 31 in the series. I've got to check my copy, because if this one is in better condition, then I will swap them out and get rid of the other one. But this one is in actually fantastic condition, so I was super happy about that. And then we got one out of R.L. Stein's The Nightmare Room. So I don't have a whole lot of The Nightmare Room. I believe I only have maybe 2 so far in this series. And this is actually book number 1, so that's fantastic. It says Open the Door to Terror, and this is Don't Forget Me. So it looks like he's tumbled into the locker. So that's fantastic. It's always great to start with number 1, of course, when you're reading stuff. So super, super thankful to my amazing friend Pax for sending me a package. I always am very, very touched whenever I get packages from subscribers or from other booktubers. It's just fantastic when people think of you because they know that you really, really enjoy collecting certain books and they know your tastes. So that's fantastic. So there you guys go. That is the haul. I've bought a ton of new books lately for my permanent collection. And like I said, sometimes a little bit of retail therapy is just what you need, because for me, like I said, I've been going through a little bit of a rough time. So I'm going to start trying to get videos out as much as I can, but you know, just kind of going with the flow too. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, leave me a question or a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you. And until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.